What's going on, YouTube? Hopefully y'all can hear me. Let me close these windows for a second so that y'all can hear me. So peep this. I'm gonna give y'all the whole you dig on what happened with me and Swift and my training with my mentor. So I was out on the road for about 3.5 weeks with my first mentor, and I thought it was gonna work out with old boy. I thought we were doing good, but I had to walk off the truck. Basically, I walked off the truck, and I thought I lost my job because of it, but I had just got fed up. So basically what happened, they gave me a mentor who was an owner-operator, and from the time I got on the truck, he was telling me about how he was tired of training and he didn't want to train, and how many people he kicked off the truck and so forth. You know, he was very standoffish, not very talkative guy. But from day one, he basically waited about 10 to 15 minutes to see if I could handle the truck, and then he disappeared into the back, closed the curtain, set the navigation, and that was it. So I went along with it thinking that that's something that normally happens during training. I thought that's what you did to learn the truck, you know, kind of like a sink or swim deal. And during the orientation, they tell you if you have any problems with your mentor, let them know. And that's my warning to you guys, is if you get in this truck with a mentor and it's not working out for whatever reason, say something. I made the mistake of not saying anything because I thought I was being a tough guy and sticking it out, and I thought that sink or swim mentality is what was going to get me behind the wheel. What wound up happening is I did all the interstate driving, nothing but interstate driving. 3.5 weeks in, I backed a total of 3 times, and each time I attempted to back, like halfway through, he would be like, "Nah, that's it. Let me go take over, slide over. I'm gonna finish up so we can go." So basically, what I come to find out after investigating is that dude was basically running up miles so he can get a healthy paycheck. Because what would wind up happening is, let's just say for the sake of saying that's 14 hours. No, I'll say 11 hours of driving time on my clock. So we would drive, and around my lunchtime or whatever, first of all, I couldn't get a break until 8 hours. Like, he barely wanted me to stop and walk around the truck and take a breath, stretch my legs. It wasn't none of that. I would drive an entire 8 hours, and then if he decided he wanted to stop at a rest stop or a truck stop to fuel up or whatever, that was my lunch. So he would clock me out, and like if we went to a shipper and they had I think it's called a live load, where they had to unload the trailer or load the trailer, and it took about an hour or 2 hours, he would take me off duty. Now, in doing so, I'm not getting paid. Now, the only time you should be off duty is in a situation now where I'm with a new mentor, and we're at a truck stop, and our next load doesn't drop off until, or pick up until 3 o'clock tomorrow. So I go off duty until I get ready to go into the sleeper berth. Now, that's understandable. Or if I do take a 30-minute lunch, I will go off duty. That's understandable. But you shouldn't be going off duty to load and unload a trailer, or if they're servicing the truck, or correct me if I'm wrong, servicing the truck or something like that. But what wound up happening is I would be up 15 or 16 hours driving without any rest. I had a problem with that. So I was missing out on a lot of pay with that. Problem number 2 is when I came in, and in all fairness, he asked me, he said, I looked at his bunk and it was a mess. You know what I'm saying? Clothes, dirty clothes, food. It was just full of stuff. So he said, you want me to clean this area off, or you want to sleep up top? Me being the stand-up guy I am, I'm like, I'll tough it out. I'll rough it. I'll go ahead and sleep in the top bunk, not knowing that that's actually illegal. So the whole time he's driving his shift, I'm in the top bunk, sleep, or trying to sleep. The truck's throwing me around. There's I'm sleeping on top of my luggage and his luggage. There's nothing but fiberglass up top. So if he hit a low bridge or something, that was it for me. I would have been done. So I didn't like that. Then, like I said, he wasn't teaching me anything. Like the Qualcomm, we pull up to a shipper and he'd hand me a sheet of paper and he'd be like, take this paper upstairs and sign it. That was all the information he gave me. I'm like, okay, what number am I giving him? What do I need to bring? Why am I giving him this paper? What does this paper mean? What does it do? None of that. He just say, go take this paper upstairs. Really like just blowing me off. And like 80% of the time he spent in the back with the curtain closed, watching TV, playing PlayStation. I didn't have a problem with it because I thought I was learning. But it dawned on me, it's like when I get out on this road and I get to a shipper, I don't know how to run the Qualcomm. I don't know how to back into a dock. And I don't know what this paperwork is you're talking about. So ultimately, I made a decision. I said, man, if I get out on my own, I'm 3.5 weeks in, and the way we're going, I'm going to go out on my own, and it's going to be a disaster. And I didn't want to do that to myself. I tried my best to get along with him. He was like semi-rude and very short with me whenever I had a question. A lot of times, like when I first got in the truck, we went from Illinois to Aurora to Memphis and then Dallas. I did all of that driving. And we would go to like these major intersections and exits where I didn't know what was going on. And I'm panicking and I'm looking around and he's in the back sleeping. I'm calling the guy. I'm like, hey man, guy, what do we do? Where's my exit? What's this? I'm confused up here. Nothing. So I had to figure it out on my own. Again, I'm telling myself, maybe this is how they do it. Maybe it's a sink or swim mentality and they want you to learn. But I'm finding out through talking to other people that it's not supposed to be that way. Actually, the first 50 hours of your driving, that instructor or mentor or whatever you want to call it is supposed to be in that front seat watching what you're doing. I never got that. So I basically feel like other than driving the interstate and perfecting my shifting, I didn't learn anything. Also, another problem I had that I noticed 3.5 weeks into it, we never did a pre-trip. Not one. I thought that was rather dangerous. I never seen him pop the hood. I asked him, I said, hey, are we going to do a pre-trip? Basically, y'all, yeah, we'll do one tomorrow. Then next thing I know, we're taking off. No pre-trip. The truck was in bad shape. The truck was constantly messy. And then, again, in all fairness, he asked me, he said, man, do you mind if I bring my dog? And I'm like, well, dude, it's your truck. I really can't tell you what to do. If you're going to bring a dog, you're going to do it anyway. How am I going to tell you no? So he brought the dog. I thought he would, like, maintain the dog or whatever. But the dog was, not the dog's fault, but he was disgusting with the dog. There was pee pads all over the ground. It was dog piss all over the place. The truck started to stink. It was getting on my shoes. Excuse me. And it was just a bad experience. I'm trying to think of like everything that happened. There was no pre-trip. Didn't learn how to back. He was rude. Didn't want to teach. Didn't want to be bothered. You know what I'm saying? And I got frustrated. So me being the Christian that I am, I prayed to myself. I said, God, if this is meant for me, then give me the strength to endure this. If I'm going in the wrong direction and you need me to get off this truck, make it so. This is a true story. So we had a load going to Texas. And on the way to Texas, we got a message from the Qualcomm that said that load was canceled and we were going back to Rochelle, which was my home terminal. So I didn't heed that first warning. I had a long discussion with my wife. We discussed it. She was upset, saying, get off the truck, it's dangerous. I said, no, I want to stick it out. So I got my hard-headed butt back on the truck. I said, I'm going to give this guy one more chance. If he shows me some backing and things like that, then I'll stick it out. So the next morning, I'm like, can I do some backing? So sure enough, we go to back into the dock. Halfway through, he's like, nah, come on out, move over. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And he wound up taking over. Upon hooking up one of the trailers, me being the safety conscious guy I am, I tried to check the fifth wheel to make sure it was locked, because every time you couple to a trailer, you're supposed to go behind the truck and make sure that bar is going across the kingpin to make sure that the trailer doesn't come loose while you're on the expressway. So he's on the other side of the truck, not paying attention, and I'm thinking he sees me working. I'm not in the truck, so apparently I'm somewhere around the truck. So I go to reach in and climb under the truck. He kicks it in reverse and starts sliding the tandems. Never told me he was going to slide the tandem, so I was like inches away from getting ran over by the truck. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. You're dangerous. That's it. It's probably some other stuff he was doing that I left out, but I was very, very frustrated with this dude. So again, I go to God and I'm like, hey, if this is meant to be, so forth. Same prayer. We're on our way to Texas again. We get about half hour in the drive into Texas. We get another message. That load is canceled. Go back to Rochelle. So I said, okay, I'm not passing this one up. So we're heading back to Rochelle. And he looks, I guess he can kind of tell what's on my mind. So he's like, you ain't trying to leave off the truck, are you? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't think this is for me. Because at that time, I wanted to quit trucking altogether. So I'm like, this is not for me. I'm going to get off the truck. So when you get to Rochelle, I'll take my stuff off the truck. Bada bing, bada boom. He's like, all right, fine. So I'm driving. He goes in the back, closes the curtains. About 5 minutes later, he's like, hey, you got to pull over. I'm like, okay, here we go. So what is it? You want to take over the truck and drive to Rochelle and not let me drive? You told the boss what? I'm prepared for whatever because I'm ready to quit. He's like, nah, we ain't going to Rochelle. We're going to go to Columbus, and I'm going to let you out in Columbus. I'm like, you blankety blank, why? So I don't know how the trucking industry goes, but to me, it was like some kind of conspiracy. I think he did it out of vengeance. He called some dispatch and he got, I don't know. So we wound up, me driving to Columbus. I drove about 3 hours it was to Columbus. And then he booted me off the truck. Fine. But he's like, you got to find your own way home. I'm like, dude, I still don't understand why he didn't take me to Rochelle. But the load that we had on the truck, loaded and ready to go, was going to Rochelle. We were in that direction. So he decided he wanted to take it to Columbus, drop that trailer off, and get another load. So long story short, or long story long, I wound up calling my wife because I didn't have any money for a bus ticket or a plane ticket or whatever, and I didn't have a ride to get to the terminal. And Swift he told me that Swift wasn't going to give me a ride. So I called my wife. She had to drive 6 hours to Columbus, Ohio to come get me. So she wound up driving 6 hours there, 5.5 because she can drive. 5.5 to come get me. 5 hours and 45 minutes to go back. And at that point, I was done with Dude and I was done with Swift. And I was pissed. But the following morning, Swift called. They had no idea what was going on. And they were basically like, okay, we're sorry that happened to you. When are you coming back? So I'm like, okay, cool. I still got a job. That's what's up. So they gave me this new mentor, and so far this guy is great. We spent like 3 hours practicing my backing while we had some time. This guy is patient. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but so far it's going good. We get along. He's got a sense of humor. The truck is clean. The truck is excellently maintained. And between the Kenworth and the Freightliner, I actually have 100% better time shifting. I'm not grinding gears at all. I'm going through the gear pattern nice and smooth. The truck rides great. Brand new tires. We did a pre-trip before we left, and we did a post-trip when we got here. We pre-tripped the trailer when we picked it up. And he's been filling out my evaluation sheet all day. I went 3.5 weeks with this other guy. He didn't even touch my evaluation sheet. So all the backing that I should have done, if I was doing it, was not documented. So I basically have to start over. But I did get to keep my hours. So I got about 2, possibly 3 weeks with this guy, and I should be on the road by myself. But yeah, that's the rundown. It's not Swift's fault. It's actually my fault because I should have spoke up for myself and said something. So now they are expecting a report about this guy, and then I find out that they had a lot of other complaints about him. Now, I'm not the kind of guy that wants to mess up a man's career or get anybody in trouble, so I don't know how I'm gonna handle this report thing. I'm not really looking forward to doing that, but I didn't speak up once and it burned me in the butt, so I'm gonna make sure I speak up this time. But that's just a warning, man. When you get out here with these mentors, make sure they're not like just running you up and down the interstate and clocking you out, and because they get healthy paychecks for what's going on. What's happening, bro? Yeah, I pretty much explained everything about what's going on. So hopefully, yeah, he clocked me out, man. He would like, if we went to a terminal to load a trailer, he would clock me out. At one point, we were out for like 2 or 3 hours waiting on the trailer to load, and I didn't get paid for any of that. You know what I'm saying? And I kept asking him, I'm like, dude, you sure I'm supposed to clock out or go off duty or on duty? Or yeah, you're supposed to go on duty. So I'm like, man, you sure I'm not supposed to go on duty? No, you gotta clock out and get your hours. I'm like, dude, I get hourly pay. If you taking me off the clock, I'm not getting paid. So I'm not an argumentative guy, so I just wound up stepping off the truck. But yeah, don't let that happen to you, man. Some of these mentors is out to get the dollar, and they don't care if you go out here and struggle, crash, or whatever. But what really pissed me off was that top bunk. Sleeping on that top bunk while that truck was moving is hell. And then I'm also put it out there, I would drive 11 hours, and I would have a hard time going to sleep, so I would watch this dude. And my man would put an iPad literally in the windshield, a full-size iPad, watch a movie, text message, and chase the dog around while we on the road. So we constantly hitting that warning meter on the road. It's like dun dun dun. I mean, the whole time he's driving. Then he might drive 2 or 3 hours, pull over, take a 2-hour nap. Drive 2 or 3 hours, pull over, take another nap. And then I'm driving 8 hours straight without a break. It was ridiculous, man. But I'm gonna sign off because it's gonna be a hard time loading this video. But I'm gonna answer all of y'all comments and questions as soon as I can. I appreciate y'all watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and that's what's up. Y'all be blessed.